Today we're going to talk about how to boost your online sales and why no one is buying and how to fix it. So this is going to be a Q&A style video. If there's a specific question that you've been waiting for me to answer, go ahead and scroll down below, find the question that you're looking for, and you'll get the answer a lot faster. All right, so let's get started. The first question is, how do I make my online store stand out? And obviously, this is going to be that you got to build a brand. And I feel like a lot of people want to skip over this. They want to look for the fast and quick solution to how they're going to, build this amazing e-commerce store. But the reality is that without a brand, a strong brand, you're not going to really be able to compete, because you're going to be out there and people are going to be measuring you apples and oranges. Well, if you sell this product and I can go over to this website and it's cheaper, I'm going to buy the cheaper one, right? If the ingredients look the same to me, I'm just going to buy that. And so this is something that everyone deals with when they're brand new, and you have to create a brand. And you've got to invest in that, and there's ways to do that, and there's ways to do it effectively, and there's ways to do it the slow way. And obviously, it's not fast. It's not overnight. You have to be consistent. You got to keep showing up, right? And I would say it takes 6 months to a year to actually start to get some traction by building a brand online. So remember, it's not just time, but it's creating the right content, creating the right things that are going to draw people and help you to actually build a brand that's going to convert. All right, let's go to the next question. Why aren't people noticing my business? So people, all of us are selfish. We only really pay attention to our problems and the things that we're dealing with, right? And think about this. When you go through and you scroll on social media, what are you doing? You're actually scrolling through and watching the stuff that you care about, that either solves a problem that you have, makes you curious, triggers you in some way to make you watch it. And the reality is that if somebody shows up on your feed and says, "Hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so," well, I'm scrolling past that. I don't care. Or if there is a video that, let's say, is, look at this amazing pencil. Nobody cares about pencil, right? So you really have to focus on the things that people care about. You have to focus on what problems does your product or service that you're selling solve. And you have to focus on that versus how amazing your product is, how amazing your ingredients are, how amazing everything that you offer is, how smart you are, all of your credentials, all of it. Because people don't care about that. They don't care about you until you care about them first, right? So it's all about investing in people, giving to people, and then they're going to be curious about who you are. And it doesn't mean that you can't share who you are and all of that, but I would say put that at the end of the video. Then people are going to start to care more because you're addressing their concerns and their problems first, right? So I would say in conclusion, if people are not noticing your business, one of the things is you're not posting the right content online, and you're probably not focused on what people are looking for answers to versus just being super smart and walking around, as a brain on a stick. And we can all be brains on a stick, go out there and tell everybody what they need to be doing. But the reality is that nobody cares, right? And nobody wants to be told what to do. And so if you go down that path, you're going to fail. So you want to focus on your ideal clients' pain points, talk about them, connect with them, and provide some actual solutions. I think it's like 18, 19 topics. I think it's 18 to 19 topics that go viral. And these have been around for years. My first cousin, William Randolph Hearst, I believe that he really started media, right? And he was known for yellow journalism, which now today is clickbait, right? It's using things like news stories and all of this and making them sound even worse than they already are to get views, right? And if you start to go down this path, the yellow journalism sort of turned into advertising psychology, And it's all the content that is produced in the news, that's produced in movies, that's produced in TV shows to get people to watch. And anything that you see online are going to be in these categories. And anything that goes viral will be in these top categories. So you really want to focus on the things that people care about. And so when I'm working with my clients, I will suggest, look, if you want to get more attention online, in relation to your brand, in relation to whatever it is you're selling, these are the things that we've got to be focusing on, right? And the other thing is that most businesses that are actually exploding online, they are making their content emotional. So when you create content, you should really be asking yourself, how do I want people to feel? What emotion are you provoking? If you're not provoking an emotion, you're not going to really get views. And it doesn't mean that every single piece of content that you post needs to go viral. And it won't, because, I've had situations where I've posted something over on TikTok, it gets 500,000 views. I post it over on Instagram and it gets 2. Or I post something on Instagram, it gets 5.5 million views. I post it on TikTok, doesn't get any views. So you're dealing with a lot of algorithms and the different audiences and what people actually care about, right? On different platforms and just the time of day, whatever it may be. But the reality is there is a very specific formula to create content that people actually care about, right? It doesn't have to be heavily edited content to go viral, but you really want to focus on what emotions are you producing at the end of the day. That's the easiest answer that I can give you. And if you're not blowing up online, you're probably introducing yourself with who you are and how amazing you are, or you're doing a hook and then immediately after that, this dental wash is going to revolutionize your life. Hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Okay, I've already scrolled, right? So nobody cares. What they care about is their problem and how you're going to solve it. So you really want to focus on the formula of how you're actually creating content and creating content that is actually going to convert. How do I make people care about my brand? You've got to care about them. Bottom line, you've got to throw out this idea that you're going to show up with an amazing product, an amazing, ideas, that you're educated, you're amazing, you've got all these credentials, and you probably do. You could be a PhD, right? You could be PhD, amazing person, extremely intelligent, but nobody's going to care unless you care about them first. So to make people care, again, you've got to focus on their problems that your product solves. And it's not the problems that you are aware of, it's the problems that they think that they have. Because how many know when you are selling anything and you've got the ultimate solution, number one, I'm not going to know what the solution is, because if I knew what the solution is, I would already have gotten it, right? So if I'm your ideal buyer, I'm not going to know what that solution is. I'm going to need to be drawn in with me searching for that solution. The second thing is you want to focus on problems that people think they have versus what you know that they have, right? So because their level of understanding and their journey, they're at one place, you're over here the expert, you have to take all the fancy words out. You've got to take all the jargon out, because if I knew all of that jargon, then I would be the expert. I find a lot of times in product-based businesses, there are mostly scientists and doctors that are creating these products. And they're very, very passionate about science, ingredients, data. And your buyers don't think that way. They're not as excited. They don't care. What they care about is their problems and if it's going to solve their problems. And so you really have to get into the mind of your ideal buyers and present your products and services the way that the buyer would be attracted to it, if that makes sense. And let me tell you a story about this. I realized this in my own business. Like, I sold over $5 million in my first product-based business. It's probably at $6 million now because that's still an active business. And the reality is that I had to go through sort of this process in learning myself. So when I first started out in learning how to sell products, I wanted to really succeed. So I saw a woman that was on the Undercover Millionaire and, seeing everything that she had done, and she become this millionaire. And I wanted to learn from her, and she was selling products. And so I found out that she actually taught people. And so I took every training that she offered. Every single thing that she had, I consumed it. And fast forward, it all worked, right? And I'd say that one of the life-changing things that happened in my journey, obviously I had to learn, right? I had to do the growth to really come to the understanding that everything she was trying to teach me. Because when I first started to listen to her, it was all French, right? But then when I started to go out there and sell my products, I realized that people cared more about the testimonies than they did the science. I would get all in the science, right? I would pass out different samples and I'd be talking about the science and how much I love the science. And I would spend so much time on that science, probably way too much time. And then when I would go through the testimonies, I think that I should, skip over it. And so I would go really, really fast over the testimonies, and people were like, no, go back. And so then I would scroll back, and after a while I realized people didn't care about the science. They cared about the testimonies. And so if you actually went around and you just had a book of testimonies, that's a perfect example of a great piece of marketing material. Because facts tell, stories sell. And that's what she always would say. Facts tell, stories sell. Nobody cares about the science. So if somebody talks to you about the science, what do you say? I don't know. All I know is testimony, right? Because that's what people care about. They want to know, does it work? And will it work for me? So that's a long story about how to make people care about your brand. Will it work? And will it work for me? Facts tell, stories sell. How do I make people choose my store over others? This is a really great question. Again, it comes down to your brand. So until you have a strong brand online and you have invested in posting the right content and built a community, nobody's really going to buy from you outside of just pricing. You're going to go out there and you're going to have to compete on price, because at that point, you don't have a brand. You don't have that community of raving fans. All you have is a product that is just like everybody else's and pricing that is like everybody else's. So you absolutely have to create a brand in order to really get people to care about you and to get out of that sort of I'm competing on price, right? And we all have to go through this in our businesses, where we have to choose something that actually makes our brand valuable and more valuable to people than another competitor. And you really just do that with brand and showing up unique in what you stand for and providing value and solving the problems, right? Solving the problems with whatever it is that you that you sell ultimately. How do I give my business a personality? What I like to do when I am actually writing branding for a business and writing messaging for a business is ask them what celebrities they see their brand as and why. Why celebrities? Because those are easy to pick out, and the emotions around those celebrities and why they would be speaking about their brand are very, very easy to pull out. And then you start to create these emotions that are around your brand. And that's really what you then want to convey to everyone. And what I have done, even in my own business, is initially come up with, okay, this is what my brand is about. And then I will add other things into it that I feel like would make it a stronger brand. So you can kind of tweak it. But that's really what you want to focus on. Ask yourself, if your brand was a celebrity, who would it be and why? And then you can start to build a personality. The other thing is that you can actually be the personality too. If you're the one that is showing up and you're promoting your brand, obviously your brand is you. How do I pick colors and fonts for my business? So both colors and fonts, they actually have a psychology around them. So colors make you feel a certain way, and they're going to provoke a certain emotion. Fonts do the exact same thing. And your logo does the exact same thing. You don't want a logo that is clip arty, where you've got some big graphic image or whatever it may be, although a lot of people do that. And the reason for that is that you want to be seen as professional, but you also want that logo to be able to be produced on multiple things. And then on top of that, you want it to be able to tell a story. So every element should produce an emotion. If you look at your logo and it doesn't produce an emotion, you need a new logo, right? Your logo should produce an emotion. So when I'm creating brands and brand messaging and brand colors and all of this, what I'm after is, what is this color, what emotions and what does your brand stand for from an emotional perspective? And let's create components that are actually going to portray those emotions. So then when you post on social media and you have a brand, you're producing certain emotions in people, right? And your fonts are going to produce certain emotions in people. And so that's why you don't want to go after trends when it comes to design. You see something cool on social media and you're like, oh, I want to go after this trend and this company does it really, really cool. Well, you don't want to steal from their brand. Because are you just going to morph into their brand and then not stand out? No. You want to create your brand, create your graphics and everything around that brand to make it stand out and to make people feel a certain emotion. My brand, if you kind of look into it, I do a lot of AI. I do a lot of AI imaging. I do, it's black and it's gold, and I use real gold versus, a lot of the just brown colors. And I'm very, very into all of that, but then having a very down to earth. Everything else is very down to earth. So you just really have to know what it is that you want to portray. I wanted to attract more innovative types clients, and so I focus in on a lot of innovative types of look and feel. How do you turn customers into fans? Well, obviously, the obvious answer to that is that you have to have an amazing product, right? So if your product isn't great, then they're not going to be a raving fan. You've got to deliver on the promises. So it's not just about putting the right copy up, the right imaging up. If they don't have an amazing experience when they get the product, they're not going to become a raving fan, right? So turning people into customers and then raving fans is all about two things. One, creating your brand around something that is greater than just the product. So you want to focus in on things like, what's the meaning behind your brand? Is it a cause? Is it a belief? Is it a truth that you have? And when people could connect with a deeper emotional truth, they're going to become raving fans of that thing. So it's not just about buying a product. This is core to who I am as a human being in some level, right? So that's one way to doing it. The other thing is over delivering and giving that amazing experience, a lot like Apple does, right? So you think about Apple, what do? They make that brand about who it is that they're serving, who uses their products, a meaningful, deep connection. And then what? They over deliver and they give you amazing experience with their packaging and all of that. So think of it from that perspective. How do I make people want to buy from me again? So if you don't have repeat buyers, you've got to ask for repeat buyers. You've got to give them a reason to repeat buy. So obviously, first of all, your product has to be good. Second of all, you've got to have the right win back campaigns. So you should actually have something in place, a sequence in place that goes out after a certain amount of time to make sense for whatever it is you're selling, that encourages people to come back and buy more. And you might offer free shipping, you might offer a discount, you might offer, a new product launch, whatever it may be, but you want to make sure to follow up with those people. You're not going to get a sale unless you actually follow up and have a system for that. And the other thing is you can align ads with every level of the buying journey. So let's say you've got a bunch of people that have purchased from you, but they haven't purchased in the last 30 days, 60 days. Well, you can upload all those people into Facebook and do an ad. So you not only are retargeting them and running an ad to them, but you're also sending them emails and make it a time-sensitive thing, a time-sensitive offer for them to get. And there you go. You got more buyers. Okay, we're almost done. Why do people visit my store but not buy? If people are visiting your store but they're not buying, it's because you have not communicated the transformation clear enough. You're not making people feel something. So when I go to your product page, if I don't feel an emotion, the product page is not good enough, right? And if you think about it, you might be saying, well, you know what? I sell home goods and, I see Walmart and they just put a picture. Well, Walmart has a brand, okay? People know, like, and trust Walmart, and they have for years. So they're selling off of their brand. And that you still have to be sold on the product. You go to Amazon, you still have to be sold on the product. But it's going to be different because people always already trust them. If I buy something on Amazon, what can I do? Return it. When you're focused on turning people into buyers, it is know, like, and trust. You post on social media for people to know, like, and trust you and build that brand. When they come to your website, if that social media is producing website traffic, they come to your website and people aren't buying, it is your website. You have a conversion issue. You have a copy issue. You have image issue. And here's one thing that I see most everyone do. They put a photo of their pretty product. Nobody cares, right? If I go to a landing page and I just see your product and I don't see how this is going to transform my life, how this is going to emotionally make me feel, what I'm going to look like after I use this product, no stories behind the transformation that I'm going to experience, I'm not going to buy that, right? Right up front. If you have a strong testimony for a product, you want that number one, front and center. That's what people should see immediately, the testimonies. Then you bring them into what? The top transformations that your product is going to actually deliver to them. What are they going to get as a result of buying this, right? Too many times we'll go into the ingredients, how amazing the ingredients are. Nobody cares. I want to know, how is this going to transform my life? Because we buy emotion. We buy off emotion, how I feel, and then we justify it with logic. So you absolutely do want to have the logical stuff there, but you need the emotional stuff. And I find that most people that are out there in the business of actually creating products are often people that are more into the data and more into that sort of thing versus the emotions. You've got to tap into the emotions. And that's why people aren't buying. And you got to, make people feel something. So go to your product page, ask yourself this. Ask yourself, what do I feel? And if you don't feel anything, if you don't feel an emotion, if you can't visualize how this is going to transform your life, your home, whatever it may be, ask yourself, how can you put that in imagery, right? How can I write that in copy? Why do my competitors get more sales than me? They probably have a strong brand. They've probably been around for a while and they have created a brand and meaning around their products and services, or they could be, massively hard selling, or they could, maybe even fibbing. Some people do that. They get more sales because they lie. And then the other thing is, I would just say bottom line is brand, especially when it's product online. If you don't have a strong brand and people don't know, like, and trust you, and they just see you as a commodity, well, they're going to treat you like a commodity and they're going to go after price, right? So if they're buying from somebody else versus you, it's either that person's product is cheaper and you're just competing on price, apples to oranges, or that person, that company has a brand that they've built and it has deeper meaning than just the product. So guys, hopefully this video has been helpful for you. Make sure to get all my free downloads down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel.